Welcome, everybody. Season's greetings.
Yep.
And thank you for taking a portion of your morning to do this. So I'm going to jump into the agenda. First thing is to look at and approve the November meeting minutes.
I can move that motion.
I'll second it, although I haven't seen them.
Okay. Motion by Richard, seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? Yeah, Bill, I have taken a look at them. They are a good, concise, and accurate representation of what we went through during our November meeting.
Good. They usually are.
Did you get the email I sent out?
No.
Okay, I will check that. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah, I was looking for the agenda and stuff, and I don't have that either.
All right. Well, is there any more discussion on the November meeting minutes?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting minutes for November are hereby approved. Thank you, everybody that had a hand in developing those. Moving along, then, we have grant proposals, approvals, and updates. Ag CWIP update and Ag CWIP NRCC capacity proposal.
Claire, do you want me to start with a little update generally on where the districts are at, or?
Yeah, just an update for the committee since we discussed it
Sure.
pretty extensively last time.
Sure. Yeah, so we had a December 12th deadline, internal deadline for Ag CWIP that went out to districts. The application is due January 9th, but the idea is that we will have time to review all of the applications, if there are any red flags that we're seeing, to discuss those. So we're meeting with each district individually to chat about their application, and then to compile everything and have it all turned in by the 9th. So about half of the districts adhered to the deadline. A couple more let me know that there was an issue. One person had a surgery, for example, and asked for a couple extra days and that sort of thing. So a couple of people communicated some deadline issues with me, and we've worked through those. And then there's a couple that just didn't let me know that they were running late and haven't turned anything in. So I'm chasing after those people. That's part of why we have such a long leeway, head start. So I think that we'll get everyone applying, but at some point, if they don't turn in their materials, there's not much we can do. So generally, people are asking for significantly more money than they have in the past. That's not surprising. I know that folks are a little bit nervous about the federal funding landscape. So a lot of people are not necessarily increasing their staff, but are trying to fund a larger proportion of their staff under this agreement because it's state funded rather than federal funding. So we'll see when we get all the applications in, sort of where it shakes out and how much we're asking for. We provide more technical assistance under this agreement than any other recipient. So I'm confident that we'll get a significant award, but it just might not be what everyone's hoping for. I think everyone's kind of doing a multi-pronged risk reduction approach. And so hopefully we'll give people as much cushion as we can, but I'm guessing that not everyone will get as much as they're hoping for. So that's kind of where we're at, but we are going to be prioritizing. My computer is on the fritz. I don't know what's doing. Sorry about that. We are going to be prioritizing continuing to fund existing positions, sort of as our first priority. So I think that's the gist. Claire, is there anything you wanted to add on the council end? I know you didn't quite get the budget complete, but
Yeah, so I think, and I put this in my email, council will have a budget that we are submitting as part of this proposal. I was aiming to get it for today. I was not able to get the budget finalized for today. I may need to ask for a special meeting to go over that before we submit it finally. It's almost certainly going to be above $20,000. So you'll have the opportunity to review and approve before we submit that, but we may need to have another meeting in early January to do that. I'll work with Emily on the timing just to make sure we're doing it in the sort of correct order. The last meeting we had, we talked about, discussing our strategy for application with districts. We did do that at a DM meeting earlier this month. So we laid out, our proposal that this application go through VACD. And, I think most people understood the rationale behind it and agreed with the logic. There were a couple of concerns expressed. As Kate mentioned, White River is not thrilled with it. Prefers council be the applicant. Sam Main at Essex also had some concerns. I think there was a general sense that since council is a entity in statute, there is a little bit more of I don't know how to characterize it, not transparency, but a little bit more clarity on how we would approach the possibility of funding, of how we do reductions if there's a need to, if we don't get awarded our full amount. So I think we can actually just meet that need by laying laying out up front a clear way that we're going to be evaluating applications, so that, as you mentioned, priority of being funding, continuing to fund existing positions first, trying to avoid disruption to operations being the first criteria. And beyond that, we'd have to think about additional criterias. But, that was the main point of feedback about the council VACD divide. I didn't hear any really strong objections. Nobody really put a foot down and said no, we absolutely have to go through council. So I think at this point, we have general consensus on the strategy. We just need to work through the details of, how we end up compiling the final application and getting council's piece worked into it. And again, we'll try to schedule another meeting in early January to go over all that with this committee. Any questions? I think that's all I have.
Yeah, Emily, just Willie's here. Willie Nickerson is here. Willie, as we all know, is about to become the new council chair. So, Willie, I don't know, do you need Emily or Claire to just give you a quick summary on what Ag CWIP is and, why we're at this point? It's a new slug of money that the Agency of Agriculture puts out, a very large proposal. So, historically, council. Willie, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I just wanted to. I don't think I need that right now.
Okay.
I've been in proximity to Ag CWIP a little bit, so I think I've got enough of a context to know what we're talking about.
Okay.
the only thing I might add, which you might already know this as well, Lily, is that several years back, the districts applied individually directly to the Agency of Agriculture for this agreement. And then they actually approached VACD and said, we don't want to be dealing with administering all of these agreements separately. Can you please submit a combined proposal in the future? So that's kind of the context of how we handle this agreement is we combine all of the different proposals across the districts, hold a parent agreement, and then subaward back out to the districts. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Unless anybody else has any questions about the Ag CWIP update that Emily just provided, let's move along to the Ag CWIP NRCC capacity proposal.
That's what I was just mentioning, Rick. I don't have that for today. I will be
Okay.
aiming to get that to you for early January. So we're going to work through I'm going to be working with Michelle and Emily to put together the council proposal. A lot of it's going to involve just making a determination about where staff time goes and what functions we want funded by each entity. And so I guess, say, our general strategy is to keep a lot of the, obviously, to fund council's capacity building through the council portion of the agreement. So any of the work that I've been doing with other state agencies, so like the Agency of Administration, anything that needs to go to the AG's office, that would be funded through council's portion. And then we were thinking that things like supervisor trainings, we'd like to do more training for our supervisors. So that would be funded by council, as well as any, needing to produce any guidance on district operations. Like that would be funded by council, since we have more of an oversight and guidance role than VACD. So that would be the general breakdown, is that, and this sort of follows what we're kind of already doing. So a lot of my time, some of Lena's time, and some of Julia's time as communications manager would be funded under this agreement for council. Emily, I think, is going to shift entirely to VACD just so she can do the grants management for the parent agreement, and any of the agricultural work on that side of the house. So our agreement will, like council's portion, will be smaller than it has been in previous years, but it will fund all of the same functions will still get funded. So I don't anticipate a big change, except that we may have a little bit more fleshed out in terms of deliverables for council, like specific trainings that we're going to try to build for districts. So that's all I have.
The budget on all the Ag CWIP proposals from the district, that kind of gets wrapped up based on who's seeking what money. So that larger budget is separate. But the budget that you mentioned in your email is specific to the capacity proposal.
Specific to council. So we'll
Yeah.
still have to approve the council piece of the overall proposal. But the rest of it, the VACD portion and the district portion, those are sort of the three big components: VACD, council, and then the districts, that get wrapped up into this big mega budget that Emily will submit.
Great. Anybody have any questions on what we can look forward to regarding the council capacity aspect? Kate's joined us. Welcome, Kate.
Hello. I can't seem to get video on this, so I guess I'm just getting used to using this Microsoft Teams, as opposed to the other, but anyway, I think you can hear me, right?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's a little camera button up at sort of the top of the window.
Yeah, but it's not, for some reason, it's not active.
Oh,
I don't
Okay.
know why.
Okay. I can ask Julia, because we're making this switch, I can ask Julia to put together some resources on navigating Microsoft Teams. Sorry, we didn't think to do that earlier, but I can ask her to look into troubleshooting camera issues as well.
That's okay. I mean, I've gotten into it okay before. I think maybe I inadvertently pushed some button that said don't use the video. So, and I just, if I restart it, it might work next time. But yeah, thank you. That might be helpful.
Of course.
Okay. So unless there's anything else from anyone on AgCWeb, let's move along to the enhanced project development agreements. Lena.
Good morning. So I sent two emails this past week. One was requesting an amendment approval for Franklin County NRCD, and that was requesting an additional $4,190 for an archaeological review. This review is done by the Vermont Division of Historic Preservation. It's required for enhancement projects, and districts budget for the basic review. But sometimes more is needed, as in this case. So NRCC holds back some funds to make those happen. And the second request was to approve a project development application from Caledonia County NRCD in the amount of $23,947. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I'm just curious, Lena, what the I mean, I actually had not looked at your second email about the Franklin County request for additional funding, but I'm just but I'm looking at it now, and it's related to the Westcott Brook Enhancement Project. I'm just curious about what additional work historic preservation would do, and why. Is it because they're doing soil disturbance, or?
I think that it's in an area where there is archaeological projects or sites. And so
So they have
because
to
of
do a
that,
phase two. Yeah.
yeah, they have to do a phase one review of, which is more intense than the initial review. But I think in that area, I think that's kind of to be expected.
But what's the project?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the actual work? Soil disturbance that's triggering the review.
That I don't know.
Okay.
It's probably in the report that I sent. I didn't read it all completely, and I should have, but I'm sure I don't know exactly what triggered it.
Okay. All right.
We can look that up maybe and get that
Yeah.
information in the chat
Sure.
as we find it. But I do just, I guess just to add for context for the committee, we've come up with against this issue before. Usually the process for the review of these kinds of projects there's a desktop review initially where someone at the state is just looking at maps and trying to determine if the project is located in a site where there's a likelihood of cultural resource presence or archaeological presence, and then looking at what work is being done. There are certain types of projects that do have sort of an initial exemption. So like tree plantings, as long as you're not doing that by mechanical means, have a little bit of an exemption. The projects that Lena manages do tend to be more, they almost all involve soil disturbance in terms of like bridge repairs or removals, culvert replacements, things like that. So we'll look up for this project specifically. But when there is a determination made, so most districts budget for that initial high-level review, the desktop review, but they don't always initially budget for if the desktop review triggers a more intensive on-site review. So that's where we're at is that's been triggered, and they didn't budget for that up front, which is, I think, okay, because we don't necessarily want people budgeting crazy amounts for archaeological reviews that may not need to happen. So that I think, this type of budget amendment request is to be expected. And, Lauren didn't do anything wrong with her initial budget that has led us to this point. It's just we've uncovered new information. So now we need to determine if we want to continue funding the project at the increased cost. And Alina's recommendation, my recommendation is that we do. So happy to answer other questions.
Yeah,
So
I
not
don't
really
think
understanding
I,
this, but the report says that they would expect to test 12 shovel test pits. So I'm not sure what that all means, but and it is triggered because it is an archaeologically sensitive area.
sure. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with that whole process. I've gone through it several times myself in my past life. But so my what I'm so I totally agree with your assessment, Claire, that it doesn't make sense to proactively budget for that kind of increased work. But I'm just curious about what the project is, and also the funding for this is for this project is it state or I'm not sure what the funding is for this particular project, where it's coming from.
So this is an enhancement project.
Mm,
So it's coming from the enhancement block grants.
okay.
And
State
it's
money.
on Lake Carmi.
Yeah.
So, and this was approved initially by the Finance Committee last fall.
Mhm.
So it's I'd have to go back to the original project to look at it all.
I did just pull it up. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the project description. Um,
And Lena, I think you said that because there has been cost savings experienced by the Franklin District, they're using those cost savings in other aspects of the projects to actually lower the amount that's being requested in this amendment.
Right. It was
Do I have that
originally
right?
12,000. Yeah, I think it was $12,000 and they were able to cover the 9,000 of it with
so this
costs
is,
that they didn't have to accrue.
yeah. So this project, again, yeah, it is Lake Carmi. So this is a high priority lake, given the water quality issues. The project itself is floodplain restoration. So there's a stream that runs into Lake Carmi, and they are doing some restoration work. It looks like including strategic wood addition, berm removal, and I'm just scanning this quickly. So, oh yeah, just floodplain restoration. So really, we're just talking about strategic wood addition, which would not, I think, trigger the review. I think it's the berm removal that's triggering this review because that is obviously moving earth. So
See.
yeah, I think that's what's
Yeah, so
triggering
they're
it.
lowering a berm so that the water will spread out, and it's because it's probably channelized at this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks for that, Claire.
Of course.
So unless there are any other questions, I think we'd be looking for a motion to approve this $4,190 increase to Franklin.
I'll probably have to accuse myself on this one.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to
Uh-huh.
approve
I'll
the
second it.
addition funding.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Kate to approve the $4,190 $4,190 increase to Franklin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Lena. And then next up was the $23,000 proposal from Caledonia.
That one I could move.
Are there any questions about that project?
Seems straightforward to me.
Yeah, we're looking at this because it's almost 24,000, 23,947. Lena gave us a quick summary update of this project along with the other proposed applications. So yeah, I seems pretty straightforward. Um, and I did send an email, maybe in the course of conversation, Lena, with Caledonia, assuming we approve this. Again, just trying to encourage them to have some sense of geographic focus, or, instead of doing this activity throughout the Caledonia County area, whether there's an opportunity for the district to piggyback onto work they're already doing in a particular area or areas, just to maybe give the district greater visibility in taking this work on. That's all.
I'll pass that along.
I'll second Richard's motion.
Motion by Richard, seconded by Bill. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Lena. Great. Let me see here. So that brings us down to administrative updates. Claire, is that you?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so the first thing we have here is just a discussion of Finance Committee membership. So right now, our membership for the Finance Committee is obviously Richard, Rick, Bill, and Kate. Willie's joining us this morning. Willie will be, as of January 1st, Council's board chair. And so Rick and I met with Willie to, extend an offer to be a part of this committee. Historically, Rick has chaired this committee, wearing his, council board chair hat. And so there's an opportunity here for Willie to join and chair the committee. And I think it's also this agenda item, we can also talk a little bit about this sort of bleeds into the next agenda item, but talking a little bit about what role everyone is playing in the financial management of council. So we do have an opportunity to update our bank signers with Willie coming on board. The assumption is that he will be a signer on behalf of council as board chair. And so we can also talk about, if you're interested in being a signer for council and we're making any changes there. So we can start with the Finance Committee membership. And Willie, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about your thoughts on your involvement with the Finance Committee.
Well, all I've really thought about is that I just want to be aware of what goes on in the Finance Committee. And I haven't really thought about if the committee wants me to be the chair of it, or I don't know how me being like a voting member of the committee would work, if I would just be automatically if I was on the committee, so I guess those are my thoughts. If the greater group would need to vote me onto the committee, or how that would work.
Well, that's a little bit of an open question because we don't have defined membership for this committee anywhere right now in our policies. I think as board chair, sort of you would have a de facto role on any committee that is created by council. But to what degree you'd like to chair the committee, or be involved is to be determined. And so I think we can put the question to the Finance Committee, that if Willie is not the one chairing the committee, is anyone interested in chairing the committee? It primarily means running the agenda during meetings.
I'm willing to continue serving as Finance Committee chair. assuming Willie doesn't want to take that on, and assuming Bill, Richard, and Kate are comfortable with me continuing in that role, again, just to raise a flag, with me stepping down as council chair, I will no longer be the Central Supervisory Union rep to council. I will be Kate's alternate. And so I don't know if that creates a difficulty with me being alternate and also chair of finance committee. So I just want to be upfront about that. I'm willing to serve, continue to serve in this role, but if appearances are such that maybe I should step down, then so be it. I don't want Willie to feel overburdened with not only taking on council chair, chairing finance committee, conceivably being part of the team that actually signs and approves bank actions for payment. Willie's also a supervisor at Caledonia. So again, I'm just trying to spread the burden. But if folks are feeling like maybe I should not be chair of finance, then that's I'm comfortable with that decision as well.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
Rick, to your initial question, we have allowed, we have allowed alternates to serve on the finance committee. There's no, prohibition against it. And so you would still, if you continue to be the alternate from the Central Supervisory Union, then, I don't see any issue with you continuing on the committee. But Bill, Kate, any thoughts?
No, I'm an alternate too, so I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
don't
just-
have a problem with it.
I'm just happy that we have 4 supervisors on the committee now. It was very small years ago. It was basically 2 of us, right, Rick?
Basically, yeah, you and me.
Yep. So I'm just glad there's more.
Kate, I don't think we caught what you said earlier.
No,
Sorry.
I'm fine with I think it'd be great, Rick, if you wanted to continue to chair the committee. It doesn't seem like it's a conflict to me. But as long as unless Willie wants to.
It works for me to have Rick continue to run this meeting.
Okay. Well, maybe, I don't know that we need a vote on this, but for the sake of dotting our i's, crossing our t's, maybe let's make that formal and vote on the chair now. I don't know that we've ever voted on the chair for Finance Committee before, so this would be maybe the first formal designation that we're making. But if you're comfortable with doing that, I guess I'd ask for a vote.
Yeah,
I'll
I'll make
move
a
that
motion.
motion.
Oh, go ahead, Richard. I'll second.
Motion by Richard, seconded by Bill to designate Rick as Finance Committee Chair starting on January 1st. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Right?
And we'll add Willie as a member of the Finance Committee, right, Claire?
We will. So, Willie, you're just going to be on all of our mailing lists, the distribution of all the materials. I think, again, as council chair, you are sort of a de facto member of every committee. But the degree to which you'd like to participate will be up to you. We do have 4 other supervisors who are willing to serve in this capacity. So I think the next question I have is about the signers for council. This is, what I mean by that are bank signers. So just to give a rundown, things that we need signed on behalf of council usually are grant agreements, either parent agreements coming to us or grant agreements going out the door. The signature authority for that is laid out in our finance policy. Usually the board chair signs any agreements that come to us. as the signer for the organization. So going forward, that will be Willie as board chair. Our sub-agreements that go out the door to other entities, it's usually dependent on the amount in the grant, but I often sign those as administrator, particularly if the small grants. The larger ones are usually signed by the board chair. So Willie, we would be asking you to step in to sign some of our sub-agreements. Then we have all of the other financial, well, let me go through the policies. The next category of signature authorization are policies. Anytime council makes an internal policy or procedure that needs signing, Willie would sign those as board chair. So then there's our financial signers. So this would be bank signers. These are people who are authorized to make financial transactions on behalf of council. Right now, our signers are Rick and Bill. And then Lena and I are also authorized to do ACH payments. Rick and Bill have been doing quite a bit with running ACHs, helping us to get money out the door. I guess I just open it up, see if anybody else is interested in being a signer. By default, again, we'd have Willie as a signer to make financial transactions on behalf of council. The question, I think, is if we're already updating our signature cards with the bank, do we want to make any other amendments? So Bill and Rick, my question is, do you want to continue being signers? And then Richard and Kate, the question is, would you like to be added? I'll leave that there and see if there's any questions.
It's not a big hurdle once you get familiar with the system. But getting into M&T Bank in the beginning was quite a challenge. Jill had to physically meet me somewhere to hand off the token that you have to use to get into the accounts. It's a little electronic gizmo. You push some buttons and it gives you a number, you enter it, and then it lets you in. Once you're in there, it's very easy to do. And Lena has already sent you the information ahead of time so you can look it over before you go in there to approve it. Now that I know how to do it and the system works, it only takes me maybe 5-10 minutes at the most.
Thanks, Bill. I do think that is worth clarifying. When I say signer, we do everything electronically these days. So it's usually doing something online through the bank portal rather than physically signing checks. We actually don't have physical checks right now. So that's what I'm asking, I guess, is would you like to be listed as a financial, the ability to prove financial transactions online?
Are Rick and Bill still good but staying on?
For now.
Yeah, I'm fine staying on in this capacity as a ACH authorizer.
Yeah.
Again, if we're making that distinction between the banking stuff and then Willie taking on it's sort of an electronic signing of grants, sub-agreements as council chair. But yeah, the ACH stuff, Lena, Claire, Jess, Emily, when there is enough of a need to issue checks out to districts, typically somebody notifies Bill and myself, is there a day that's convenient to process these payments? So it seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah.
Claire, by having
So
just Rick and Bill, is that sufficient?
it's been working so far. If they're willing to keep going, that is enough. That gives us enough coverage. I just want to, again, throw out the opportunity. Richard, it sounds like that question, you might not be interested.
Correct.
Okay. So then the question, Kate, are you interested?
Well, I mean, I don't mind. The idea of a gizmo sounds like something that I would lose within a week. Not really. I'm not. But I don't know. I mean, I don't mind doing it. If it's, I'm not like dying to, but if it's helpful, sure. But again, I'm not very good at keeping track of things. So, what is
Well,
there something that you just put in your computer? Is that I don't really understand that.
No, it's a. I can. Mine's laying right here.
You know exactly where it is.
Yep.
I wear mine around my neck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
well,
what
in
it
that
looks
case,
like.
Yeah.
And basically, you turn it on, you enter your passcode to get in it, push another button, and it generates a number, a random number that you enter on the website, the web page, and it lets you into the system.
Yeah, I guess I would say I would just as soon not do it unless there's a need and then I'm willing to. How's that?
Okay.
that sounds fine. I
Yeah.
will say, one of our next agenda items will be talking about banking options. We may be able to make some changes and move away from that token in the future. But for now, let's just keep things as is. Rick, Bill, you'll remain signers. Willie, we will get you added as a signer, though to what degree you'd like to be involved, we can work that out. Even though you're a signer, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the one doing the ACHs. Lena and I will also remain as ACH, approvers. So, okay.
The way the setup goes, you need two. You guys prepare them usually, and then Rick or I approve them.
That's right. So we require two people to approve any transaction going out the door. Either Lena or I prepare the ACH. And that is just automated clearinghouse. It's just our way of online payments. Lena, these days is the one who does all of our payments, so I do have the ability. And then once Lena sets them up, we have a supervisor go in to review and approve. So it's our internal controls, risk controls, ensures at least two people are signing off on all transactions.
Do you need a motion to keep Rick and Bill in those positions? Or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can
Take
make
it,
that
okay.
motion.
Rick, I'm going to say yes. I never
Okay.
know what the bank is going to ask me for as justification for our signer. So if it can be recorded in the minutes, that's great. So
Okay.
yes, the motion would be to have Rick and Bill as signers on our account, to add Willie as a signer on our account, and to keep Lena and I as ACH approvers.
Richard, you get all that as a motion?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Kate, would you be willing to second that motion?
I'm sorry. I keep yeah, I will second it.
Very good. Yeah. Any further discussion? The only thing I would add when it comes to ACH approval, Lena, like you do when you reach out to contact Bill and me, just maybe loop in Willie so he can see sort of what's going on.
Sure.
Not that Willie's going to be able to sign right now, but once he's given the gizmo and understands the protocol, then it sounds like there might be three of us.
Yeah.
And if the bank doesn't want that, then Bill and I can do some leg wrestling to see which one of us can give up our gizmo.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be hard to get it from around your neck, Rick.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The next item I have to discuss is actually our banking options. I sent out this information last night, so I realize you have not had the chance to review it, but I'm going to walk through it today. It can be just an item for discussion, though if we'd like to move to make any changes, we can do that as well. So last meeting, we talked about the fact that we're going to be sitting on a higher cash balance going forward due to changes in our in our grant agreement, specifically in our DEC grants. We have the ability to get payment up front on those awards. So currently our bank balance is something like 2.3 million, which is much higher than we've had in the past. And so there's two concerns raised by that. One is ensuring that we're keeping that money safe. Trying to keep it under FDIC limits. Not that we're concerned about a run on the bank or anything, but just as a matter of best practice to keep that under FDIC limits. And then the second is the opportunity potentially to increase returns. This is something we've talked about for a couple years now, honestly. We're only getting 0.1% on our checking account as it is right now. That's very low. So I've, since our last meeting, I've talked with M&T Bank about other options that they have. This is where our money's currently held. And then I also reached out to Union Bank as for a comparison. Lena has done a lot of work looking at a broad range of other banking options. So if the committee would like to see more options than just these two, we can pull that together a little bit more robustly and present that at a future meeting. But for now, here's some information to get started with. So option one, we stay with M&T Bank, but we change our account types. M&T Bank has a product called IntraFi Cash Services. It's an FDIC cash sweep account. So essentially, it doesn't change anything about how we interact with our money. It stays in the same, from our perspective, our money is sort of at M&T in our account as always. But what M&T is doing on the back end is they have these agreements with other banking institutions to sort of shift money around so that that our balance is split up between different FDIC coverage limits. So they're doing work on the back end to make sure that we're covered fully for the full amount of our deposit. But there's really no change to our operations. So it doesn't limit liquidity. We can still access our full balance at any time. We can continue to make ACH payments. It actually has a higher interest rate than our current product. So we would be getting, at our current balance, we would be getting 1.7% interest. The way they structure it is there's tiers. So depending on our balance, we would be getting various rates between 1.25 and 2.22%. It's a substantial increase over our current interest rate. So that's the first option, is that, we just shift everything. We add the service. There's no charge for the service, so we just add the service and no change to our operations. We get a higher rate. Everything's covered. Checks all the boxes. So to me, at the very least, this is sort of a no-brainer that we would do this, but we have other options as well. So again, sticking with M&T Bank, they do obviously offer certificates of deposit. These are, considered relative, safe investment options that get a higher return than your standard, savings checking accounts. The trade-off tends to be that it's not as liquid. Usually the products that we're talking about here would require us to keep our money in the CD for a certain amount of time, or we could withdraw it with a certain penalty. But this is the tier of rates that M&T Bank is offering right now for their government jumbo CD. Jumbo just means they require a $100,000 minimum balance for CD purchase. So, the interest rates here range between 2.63 and 2.73%. So that's, again, much higher than we're currently getting. The only downside is that we would be locking our money away for a certain amount of time. But if we went with a 1-month CD that, it's only locked up for a month at a time, our current policy is that we're trying to pay invoices within 30 days. So even if we had money locked up for a month, we would still actually be able to meet our 30-day invoice payment goals because in almost all cases, we would be having that money mature in time to be available in our account to pay the invoice. That said, if we did go this route, we wouldn't, we could put simply a portion of our holdings into a CD. Again, we have about 2.3 million. We're not expecting to draw that down all at once. So even something like 250,000, 500,000 could, in my opinion, be put into a CD with really no impact to our need for immediate cash availability. We would still be able to pay any invoices that we're expecting to get, even if we had money in a certificate of deposit. So those are the options with M&T Bank. Some pros and cons. Obviously, going this route, we're going to have increased interest, FDIC protection. It's very easy to implement this option because we're already with M&T, so we don't require any new account paperwork, shifting to a new bank, or learning new systems. It does align with the state. So the state uses M&T Bank for their statutory deposits. As a state entity, this would put us in alignment with the state, though the state also does use other banks for other things, and we're not limited to this option. We can do other banks if we want. And we can always change our strategy later. So if we wanted to make this change first and consider our other options, we could always do that. Downsides of option one, there are higher interest rates elsewhere. This is not the most competitive proposal. And we've struggled with the user interface for M&T Bank. As you just heard, they require a secure token. That's been hard to navigate. The portal itself is hard to set up, ACH payments, or even see information in a lot of cases. So I know Lena and I aren't thrilled with the back end of M&T Bank. We could, we do have an opportunity to change banks for that reason alone. I asked them about the waiving the fee. We are still paying $35 a month as a ACH fee. I asked them if they could waive it. They haven't gotten back to me yet. That's pending. So there are still fees associated with this option. Option number two, we could switch to Union Bank. That's our the other bank we identified as being a strong option for government accounts here in the state. They sent me a full proposal, which I attached. I'm not going to go through their full proposal, but the highlights are kind of here. Like M&T, they offer an insured cash sweep product. So again, fully liquid. Basically, from our perspective, like a user interface perspective, it works just like a checking account. So our entire balance is accessible. We can make ACH payments out of the account, and the interest rate would be 2.5%, which is higher than what M&T was quoting at 1.75. They also offer CDs, and they offer them at higher interest rates. So the benefits of going that route, again, increased interest, increased FDIC protection. They're waiving all the fees for us, so we would not be paying any fees. There are higher interest rates quoted, potential for a better user interface. I don't know what their banking system looks like, their online portal. So that's an unknown. But Lena, you might have had some experience working with them. Is that right?
Yes, I did. I worked with them when I worked for the town, and they were so much easier than M&T. So much easier. Totally different.
So potential for a better user interface, or a better online banking system. Downsides, we would be switching banks, so there is some amount of paperwork to go through and just learning a new system. So that might take a little bit of time. And I also want to note that their rates are not locked in. The 2.5 that they're quoting us as an interest rate would be for 1 year, and then they would reassess. So, that's an unknown. They are likely trying to, lure us in as a new customer, just so you know. Here's a comparison, just really quick and easy. Currently, M&T Bank, $35 a month, might be waived, but don't have an answer. Union Bank is saying $0 a month. 1.5 or 1.75% interest on cash sweep through M&T Bank, 2.5 through Union Bank, which is an initial rate that might be adjusted later. For the same jumbo CD product, M&T Bank is quoting between 2.63 and 2.73 interest. And Union Bank is quoting between 3.2 and 3.51. So across the board, we're paying less and earning more at Union Bank, and it might have a better user interface. So that's compelling. But option 3 is that we just continue exploring options. We could pull together similar information for you for other banks. So like Citizens, Northfield, Eastrise, TD. These are things that Lena has looked into initially, and we can reach out for more formal proposals from them. Lena, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't. As I said, I worked with Union Bank for many years with the town, and I found them, the biggest thing that was so great with them is that because they're local, you could always speak to a person if you had a problem. M&T, you could spend hours on the phone trying to figure out a problem. So that alone saves a lot of time and the higher interest. I like that a lot.
Me too.
Question,
So I'm happy to answer.
Did you explore
Go
any
ahead.
credit unions? The large credit unions? I'm
Yeah,
not
No,
sure
you
that
looked
they,
at.
Go ahead,
Go
Claire.
ahead, Lena.
Okay, we did look at Eastrise, which is a credit union, and again, found them to be not as responsive. And many times when I contacted credit unions, I didn't get information from them, waiting and waiting, and then their interest rates were actually not as competitive as M&T and Union Bank in many cases.
interesting.
Yeah,
I like the Union Bank
we've switched
proposal.
over at the Winooski District. We had our accounts with the credit union, Eastrise, and we've gotten out of them. I think we're now with Union Bank. So I would recommend avoiding Eastrise.
Richard, did you have? I'm sorry, I thought I heard you making a comment.
Yes, I like the proposal of Union Bank and what Lena said about conversation and getting information from the bank is it's much easier and it flows better. I'd vote for Union Bank at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. That chart that talks about Union Bank giving us a strong 2.5% interest for 12 months. With then they would review it. Likely it would go down, or we don't know.
They said it would be based on market rates. I don't know what that means. But I would say that the difference between, given our current balance, the difference between the 1.75 rate and the 2.5 rate comes out to be about $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's substantial.
Yeah. And that's also negotiable too when it comes to discuss the interest rate.
Yeah.
It sounds like they follow the market better, and the other company M&T is shorting you like 1%.
Yeah, and then
Right.
how do you feel, Claire and Lena, about I noticed the Union Bank under CDs. If we went that route, we'd commit to a 6-month minimum, right? Whereas the other bank gave us a 1 month to 6 month.
That's not actually true. I'm so sorry. I meant to take that out of that memo.
Okay.
I put that in because I was initially looking at the top part of their proposal. They were recommending the longer range CDs because they have a higher return. They do still have all of the standard options, so we could still do a jumbo CD at 1 month. So
Under Union.
under Union, yeah. They said they have the exact same options. Those are just standard sort of certificate of deposit type products. So we're not actually limited in that way. I apologize.
Okay. But nonetheless, their interest rates are higher for the CD.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm really not familiar with, I've never heard of M&T Bank. So I'm just curious, are they, are they national banks, regional banks, local, uh, you know, I mean, I think if Union Bank is a more local bank too, I think I like that better. 'Cause
Yeah, I think Union is more local. I don't know that for sure because I've never worked with them, but I can say that M&T is national and Canadian as well. So I actually banked with them when I lived in Missouri. They are national.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Yeah, it
just
seems like
acquired a
less of,
bunch of smaller banks here. I think there was one around here called People's
Peoples
Bank, and
and
they took
Chittenden.
that over.
Yeah, they
Yes.
used to be
So
Chittenden too.
Yep.
we were with Peoples, and then Peoples was acquired
Yeah,
by M&T. So that's
yeah,
why we're with them, is they bought us out.
yeah.
I see.
And from what
I mean, I
Lena
like the
says,
idea of keeping money local if possible. That I mean, it just seems like a better investment. It's better to invest in our local economy if I think that makes a difference. I don't know.
yeah, and Lena's had some good relationships with them in her previous job. That's a plus also.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could probably do well up here with our bank, but it's not as centralized to your area.
That is the other question. And Union Bank does have locations here in central Vermont. They have one in Montpelier. So we would not be compromising access. And in fact, they do allow remote deposit, which is not something that we currently have access to through M&T. So now if we get a physical check, I could deposit it without even going into a location. I think that's a plus too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing a
So
lot of pluses.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm willing to make a motion right now.
I'm happy
Uh,
to hear it.
okay, I make the motion. We move to Union Bank.
Motion by Richard. Did you have any particular? There were two sort of tracks with Union Bank, the cash sweep and or the CD.
Depends on what Claire and Lena are comfortable with. They could advise me on that direction.
My recommendation right now is we just move the money over and get it in the cash sweep. From there, we can always go back and revisit the question of certificates of deposit. We can do it one step at a time, essentially.
That makes sense.
So I could correct my motion to move to Union Bank in the cash sweep program.
You okay with
Second.
that? Okay. Motion by Richard, seconded by Bill. Move our account currently from M&T over to Union Bank on the cash sweep. Any further discussion on the motion?
I would say do it in January.
Do it in January. Yeah, we can do that I agree. The end of the calendar year is a
Yep.
very busy time, and we can just start a new year with a new bank.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for all your research on that. You've given us two strong options, and I don't see the need to continue exploring elsewhere. So I think this motion is great. Conceivably, we'll make a little bit of money from our well-managed accounts. So thank you for doing that. Any further comments, questions? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, January, get through the holiday here and start off the year. And
Sure.
Yeah, if
I will.
Willie or Bill or I need to do anything when it comes to, Union Bank and the switch once it's happened, let us know.
I will let you know. So the steps on this, I'm going to ask them for whatever transfer or new account paperwork that they need. I will share that with you. Likely, it will require signatures from anybody who will be a signer on the account. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that remotely or if that will need to be done in person, but I will let you know. And if we're doing this in the new year, then Willie will be board chair. And so ultimately, we will need Willie's signature. So I will let you know who needs to sign what when once I have that paperwork.
Great.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
All right. Well,
Well
thank you,
done.
everyone. I'm sorry it took us so long to pull that information together for you, but I'm happy we have a plan.
Our district is now looking to also dump MNT and find somebody else. They're just difficult to deal with, and every time you turn around, the people changed in our branch.
Yeah.
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 That's why
No apologies needed, Claire.
I'm
Thank
fortunate up here in Franklin County that the bank we deal with has been dealing with our conservation district for 40 years. And we get along well, so.
It's good.
Okay, so
Okay.
everybody's okay for time. It's 20 of 10. I'm looking at Claire's got another supervisory union draft guidance here under admin updates. So if everybody's okay for sticking around for that.
I'm good.
I'm
Yep.
good.
Okay. Well, I don't think this requires a vote. I'm just going to share this with you because we've discussed this in the past. Um, I, you know, I've been getting a lot of questions about supervisory unions, about how they're supposed to operate, about what they're supposed to do, about what they are as entities. So I did put together some quick guidance that covers some of those questions, mostly citing statute, how things are organized. I sent this out to you, and I think what I'm looking for is just feedback. Does this answer your questions? Is it clear? Um, should I be adding anything else or changing any of the phrasing? So this is an open-ended request for feedback, and you can feel free to email me that feedback later. We don't have to get that all down today, but just to give an overview. So to start off with, just supervisory union structure. What are they? They are governmental structures, sort of intermediary level between council and districts. Here's where they're out, created in statute. There are 6 of them in Vermont. All of the conservation districts belong to one. Here they are. And then we have a map. So that's the basics. And then we get into the duties and powers. So from statute, supervisory unions are created for administrative purposes. Statute says, carrying out broadened program of conservation, as well as facilitating communication coordination with local, state, and federal entities. Then there are the following specific powers and duties. I do want to go over this because I'm not totally sure all of this is happening right now. There's only a few real requirements. Then the rest are sort of optional powers. The first is that supervisory unions shall record all resolutions and proceedings. I would like, going forward, I would like to request supervisory unions send me copies of their meeting minutes. I don't know that I see them all. I definitely don't see them all. But I'd like to make sure that that's happening. In council's role is providing, guidance and oversight. So that's the first thing. This would make people aware that, yes, this is supposed to be treated as any other government meeting. So then, offer assistance to districts, coordinate programs between districts, elect a member to council, can employ staff, but they would have to be a state employee if they do. Provide execution of surety bonds for all employees and officers entrusted with funds. I have a couple footnotes because right now, to my knowledge, no supervisory unions have their own budgets or their own funds. So a lot of this is moot right now. They don't need surety bonds because there aren't any employees or officers entrusted with funds. Likewise, they don't need an annual audit because they have no receipts and disbursements. So that's moot. I just wanted to clarify that in the footnotes. It may, within appropriation limits, enter into agreements. And right now, again, none of them, to my knowledge, have any grant agreements or other agreements with outside entities. Reiterating that supervisory unions are non-regulatory and that their purpose is to, serve their member districts. Most basic level, they are a mechanism for electing supervisors to council and should meet at least once per year. I have a note here that while they're enabled to employ staff and have funds or grant agreements, they don't historically. But if people are interested in going that direction, please just ask me and I can try to help them. So then here we get into the election. This is where I've gotten a lot of questions recently. So there are two steps. There's one, electing members from the district level to the union supervisory union board. So that goes over that here. That's really done by appointment. The statute says appointment rather than election. So this is an action that the board takes. The district board makes an appointment to the supervisory union. And so then I just put here, it's recommended that the appointments be recorded in the meetings of the minutes of the district board. And then there's electing supervisory union reps to council. And that is in statute as an election. So there would be in all cases, a formal vote that takes place from the board level to designate supervisory union reps. There is a 2-year term, so I have that here, but there's no specific election cycle. So at this point, it would be up to each supervisory union to determine when their 2-year term starts and ends. But once that term is established, I am asking that people communicate that to me. And I will be creating a form to facilitate the reporting so that we have the information that we need to know that, we're following statute in all cases. So that's outlined here. We also talk about the alternates. We talk about the situation where 4 of the 6 supervisory unions are 2-member unions, which makes elections a little bit tricky. We do recommend consensus and give some options for, how to navigate potential conflict, but that a formal vote should still be made and recorded in meeting minutes to formally elect supervisory unions and reps and alternates. Julia helped me by creating these visuals, so I hope that does help. 2-member district, 3-member district, and then what the SU reps do on council. So this is, focus on supervisory union operations. So this section is sort of high level, but this is just sort of, why does it matter that you elect a representative to council? Here's what council does. At a minimum, supervisory union reps are expected to attend council meetings and help inform the direction of the organization and its services to districts, and play a critical role in bringing information from the district level to the state level. And then I have our organization chart, and for more information, contact me. So, any initial feedback?
Claire, I'm curious, do you have any minutes from any of the, SU meeting? I'm guessing that has always happened very informally, but I don't know.
It has. The Northeast
Yeah.
Kingdom has been the most formal, and I believe we do have minutes from some of their meetings.
Oh, okay.
But in most cases, no, I don't have their meeting minutes. So by issuing this guidance, I'm hoping to this will help be one of several ways that I'm alerting people to the fact that this should be happening. And then in the future, I will be following up to request those meeting minutes.
So I'm guessing if it's, for example, if SU with two members meets, they would have to warn it. Is that right or not?
My understanding is that yes, they are subdivisions of government, and so they would be subject to open meeting law. So I could put a clarification in this guidance to say that explicitly. Yes.
And that would be 24 hours, I think, right? Because it's not
Um, that would be a
regularly
minimum.
scheduled. Yeah.
Unless it's regularly scheduled, it would be a minimum of 24 hours for an emergency meeting, and I think it's like 48 hours or something for a special meeting. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
but I can lay that out in the guidance.
And where would that be? Where would that be warned? On the council's webpage or I don't
I
know,
think
on the, go ahead.
that's a very good question. So I would recommend on the individual district web pages,
Yeah.
and I will talk with Julia because I do think we should be doing more to, with the council web page now that we have it. We might have a section on our web page for supervisory unions, and we could warn the meeting there, as well as host the meeting minutes because those are what should be made accessible to the public. And so we could use council's website for hosting anything related to supervisory unions. So that the burden's not on any individual district. Does that sound like a good idea?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our union has operated quite well together for quite a long time. We just don't have a board. All district board members attend those meetings.
Wow.
And it's gotten even better now that we have Zoom because we're in two locations and it makes it a lot easier.
And Bill, to my understanding, that's how most people do it.
Yeah.
I don't know that most people are formally appointing members to the supervisory union board. It's more just a group discussion. I'm happy for that to continue because I do think, it's in the spirit of working together, of facilitating communication, consensus building. That's all great. But I do think going forward, we do need the formal mechanisms recorded in meeting minutes. So like, even if everybody comes together and says, yeah, Bill's going to be the alternate, we do want that recorded in the minutes somewhere, and we do want an actual vote recorded. So
yeah, for the NRCC reps, we do actually vote on that.
yes. And I do think a lot of people do, but again, I think it's usually everybody's voting. So this is going to be a little bit of and I hate doing this because to some extent this is so formal and it's a lot of dotting I's and crossing T's, but this is what statute says. And so I'm hoping that we can start doing that dotting of I's and crossing of T's. In reality, we are, I think, meeting the spirit of the law, which is that votes are being done and they're being done by the boards themselves. So it's just the actual details of the mechanisms.
Yep.
Any other initial thoughts or feedback? Okay. Well, if you read it over and anything else comes to mind, if any part is confusing to you as you read it, or you think there's a better phrasing, or you see anything else missing, let me know. I am aiming to get this out in the new year. So a couple more weeks of maybe playing around with the wording, the formatting. I'll make those changes that were noted, the open meeting law clarification. I will check with Julia about our website, but assuming that's okay, I'll add that to this guidance as well about council facilitating, hosting meeting minutes and things like that.
Okay, yeah, so this has not been sent out to anybody yet. This is a draft. Okay.
This is a draft, yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll get an updated draft out to you, and if you have any other recommendations, let me know.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Claire. That's very helpful. Benefits not only this committee, but the entire representation of council. So agencies, reps, alternates. So thank you. A little overdue, I think, just to clarify things.
Yeah.
So that
I have
brings
one question. I don't know what EDDIBG stands for. Sorry.
Lena, do you want to answer that?
Sure. It stands for Enhanced Development, Design, and Implementation Block Grant.
Okay.
Did I get it right, Claire?
Yes, you did. We should spell that out though more. That's a good reminder. Our world has so many acronyms.
Yeah.
We need to spell them
I
out.
know. Well, I missed the first part of that. I wasn't here for the first part of that, or I would have asked it at the beginning.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that, Lena.
great. Other business as required. Hearing
I don't have
none.
any.
Okay. Well, so here it is December already, so we'll meet again in January. I'm just looking for my next year's calendar. January
21.
January 21. Is that right?
That's right. And I am looking to schedule that's our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Yep.
Our Ag CWIP agreement is due on the 9th. Is that right, Emily? So I would be looking to schedule a special meeting no later than January 7th to just go over and approve the Ag CWIP proposal. I would propose January 7th unless there's a lot of conflicts on that date.
It's okay
Uh,
with me.
Any
Yeah.
particular time?
Probably 8:30 as usual.
Okay.
Not
That's a
hearing any
Wednesday.
conflicts.
No.
Nope.
Okay. And that will be a very short meeting, I think, because it will just be focused on Ag CWIP, and we'll have time for questions, comments. That's right before the deadline, so I will try to get you the budget well in advance so that if you see any issues, we can fix that before it comes to you for approval, so that we're not making any major radical changes at the last minute. So we'll keep you in the loop as we develop that proposal. But then the 7th will be when we ask for your approval before it goes to the Agency of Agriculture.
Great.
Great. So just and we're comfortable with this finance committee making that approval and then notifying council later on.
Right.
I think so because we will not be the applicant on that. The main applicant, that will be VACD, unless something changes radically, in which case I would need to call a full board meeting before January 9th. But we will just be essentially what we would be approving is a lower level sort of submission, and I don't anticipate it's going to be a terribly large amount. Our previous Ag CWIP proposals, the full-blown proposals have been a couple $1 million. This is just going to be the council portion of it, so it's not going to be as big as we have approved in the past. So
Okay. Great. Okay. So does that cover everything that we need to cover today? If so, thank you. Have a great Christmas, everybody, and a happy new year.
And
And a
everyone,
happy Hanukkah.
yep.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Move for adjournment.
Motion
Thank
by
you,
Richard
everyone.
to